In the constantly changing world of fundability, the big question is this: how are entrepreneurs and real estate investors like us, ones who want to grow our businesses and who are tired of paying for really expensive alternative lending, how do we tap into the most inexpensive money available and do it without the hassle of typical borrowing? That is the question, and this podcast will give you the answers. Welcome to the Get Fundable podcast with your host, Merrill Chandler.
Good morning, good afternoon, good evening. Welcome back to the Get Fundable podcast. Your host, Merrill Chandler. In this episode, we're going to be talking about things that may be very relevant to many of you as you listen to creating fundability or how to protect yourself. So when we come back, we're going to be talking about how things can go sideways in recessions or personal financial stress, and how to prepare for them, and how to protect yourself and recover with a soft landing. We'll be right back. Welcome back, everybody. Merrill Chandler here, your host of not just the Get Fundable podcast, but the Get Fundable universe, right? Our intention with every podcast is to kind of shine a light on the path that's going to lead you to greater and higher funding approvals, right? We want to make sure that, and probably one of the main ways that we can continue to be fundable is to protect our credit profile. What borrower behaviors are important to watch during financial stressful times. And it doesn't matter, guys, whether or not the stress is coming from outside world, like a recession, a nationwide recession, or job loss, health problems, or family-sized, individual-sized financial stress. So let's get to it. First of all, one of the main things that we want to focus on is let's spend just a moment on reminding ourselves how the system works. First of all, your borrower profile and your borrower behaviors are measured by FICO and lending software to determine if you are fundable. In recessionary times, in financially stressful times, the lenders only make money when they lend. And so when things get stressful out there, they tighten the funding guidelines so that only a bullseye borrower, somebody who's super highly fundable, continues to get approved, right? You may have already experienced that if you've held long balances, right? High balances for a long time. Did I just say long balances? High balances for a long time. Then all of a sudden you come into money, you get reemployed, you finish a project or otherwise, and you get paid, and you start paying down those balances. Likely as not, those lenders are going to start lowering those limits. So let's start there with our first strategy about how to protect your limits if you've been carrying balances because you were living off them, paying bills off them while you were didn't have the resources to take care of those financial commitments, right? So first strategy for maintaining during financial stress is that if you've been carrying high balances, before you start paying them down, you want to contact each lender and kind of humbly, kind of supplicating, you want to say, "Hi, I value my relationship with you guys. I love this credit card, or I love you as my main bank," if you got a checking account with them as well or otherwise. My financial situation has turned around. You don't say I got reemployed or I got a big windfall, because those aren't trustworthy metrics. Just say, I got my legs under me. I had a bit of a rough patch, and so my balances are a little high. I want to start paying those down, but because I love my relationship with you, what can I do so that you don't continue to lower the limit as I pay down my balances? Now, this does two things for you. Number one, we want keep those limits high. So making a payment. So many times people come to me just going, I thought I was doing right by my credit card company. I make a payment, and then all of a sudden I go from $10,000 limit to $10,000 balance on my $10,000 card. I pay $1,000 off, and they make my limit $9,050. Here's the difficulty, and the thing we need to watch out for is that when they lower the limit back down, so you're near 100% utilization rate, the new balance that you pay down to is most of the new credit line. You're back to 100% utilization. You follow me? And so what you're trying to talk to, and you can talk to a supervisor to do so, but you want to compel them, convince them that everything is good, and you want to be given a test or probationary period. So let's say you're at 10,000, you're at $9,900 balance, 10,000 limit, $9,900 balance. In fact, I'm going to pull this out because I want you guys to be able to see this for those who are watching. And if you're not watching, guys, and just listening, I'll describe it as much detail as I can. So first things first, we're sitting at $10,000, a $10,000 limit. Okay. We have used $9,900 of it, which means we're at a 99% utilization. If we come in and we pay it down to $7,000 as our new balance on that $10,000 card now, and they lower it and make the new limit, let's call it $7,050. So then now you're back to 99% utilization. Follow me? So we want to be able to, when we contact them, we want to be able to say, to contact the lender, we want to be able to say, hey, I love my relationship with you guys. You guys are the bomb. I acknowledge, and even I apologize for carrying such a high balance for so long. It wasn't my intention, but now that things are back in play, can I make a payment and tell them how much you want to pay? $1,000, $500, some big chunk. But tell them, I want to be able to keep this balance between 7,000 and 10,000. Can we please keep that there? Put me on probation. If I charge a dime to it between now and 3 months from now, go for a small one. They may say 6 months, but ask for 3 months. Can I keep this if I go for 3 months and never use that card? Would that be okay with you? Because I'm trying to improve my utilization. So let's say they accept it and you're at 7,000. You just went from 99%. If they would have lowered it, if they let you keep it, now you're at 70% utilization. That's a massive improvement to your fundability. And you're showing good faith, goodwill towards your lender as your lending partner. You're showing that you're trying to value their money because you basically used that whole credit card limit in order to survive or to get by. We want to convince them, and the only thing that's going to convince them of keeping that limit up is you offering a probation where you don't use it. So I'm going to tell you, we kind of go out on a limb here. If you ask for it and then you violate it, it's worse than if you didn't ask for it before. Follow me? If you say, if I put a dime on this credit card, I just go with me here. If I put a dime on the credit card, I totally understand that you lowering the limit, but you've got to keep your word. But this is a very powerful strategy to keep lowering it. Then if you, and then give them a plan. Oh, by the way, within 30 days or 6 months or 3 months, I want to get it down to 50%, $5,000. Can we do the same thing? I want to pay it down, but I want to keep the limit. and then you're at 50% utilization. And remember, for those of you who attended the boot camp or read my book, anything under 40%, and now you're out of the risk department, which is our end game. That's where we want to be. Of course, we want to get down to paying it off completely. But until that happens, our big, huge goal is getting it under 40%. That means that we're out of the risk department, because you've been in the risk department for every moment you've been above that amount. Follow me? So those are vital. Those are extremely important measures to take so that you can keep these limits, because these limits are going to take you. They only raise limits when they decide to give you limits again. They only give you those limits. They'll only consider raising your limit every 6 months. And so on this 10,000, you come all the way down to 5,000, and they drop it down to $5,050. It's going to be a slog to get that back up there. And the higher the limit, within reason, the higher the limit, the more fundable you are, especially for our entrepreneur clients, right? Our entrepreneurs listening who want business lines of credit or business loans. So that is strategy number one. During times of stress, you want to talk to the bank before you start getting before you start lowering that balance through payments. All right. Strategy number two. Never, ever, 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 ever make a minimum payment. If you're making a minimum payment, then you are telling the algorithm, not the banker, you're telling the algorithm that you do not have, you don't have any money, and that's the best you can do. And we want to this is the only time that I like using the word hack, because I hate using the word hack generally with banking, because that just doesn't sound good. But you hack the algorithm, because if you have, let's say you have a minimum payment of $50, make 51, 52, 62, 61, 59, 58 every month. Make a different amount of a payment. Now, this is a pain in the butt especially if you just want it on auto pay, right? And just, make the minimum. That's all I can afford. Make the minimum. Well, great for your budget, but you're literally telling that lender through their software that I can't afford anything, and then they're on high alert, right? They're looking for other behaviors that are going to also show that you are not a viable borrower right now, and that they need to watch out for you and keep you in the risk department if you're above 40%, and put you in the risk department if you are not if you're not implementing the strategy, if you spend too many payments making the minimum. So always, in every way you can, you want to create you want to pay something close to the minimum so it supports your budget, but do not make the minimum payment. If it's 50, you make 51, 55, 57, 53, 62 for as long as you can. And even if that makes you do it manually, even if it makes you do that manually, it is worth it, because again, we're trying to maintain our fundability during these times of stress. All right. So that was strategy number two. Now, strategy number three. This is about budgeting, right? And your budgets, of course, are not going to be online or available to your lender. But you do want to, and I'm going to pull this straight out of my boot camp. You want to audit your books, but you're auditing for two different things. So strategy number three for financial survival during stressful times. One strategy, two parts to it. The first one is you want to audit all of your expenses. How many times have you subscribed to something? I don't know. You're listening to Spotify, and then you switch to a different music, Apple, and you subscribe for that 30-day free trial, and then you forgot about it. So you want to go through, you want to pull out your bank statements from whatever accounts are credit card accounts, drafts from your checking account or whatever, and you want to audit and go back 3 months and see what every single expense is and which ones you don't need. Now remember, part of we're trying to so let's back up just a little. When we make a deposit, like let's say you're reemployed, everything's back on track. The automatic deposits from your employer or otherwise, or the money that you're putting into your checking account, that is measured by your current lender, right? That's measured by your current lender. And so we'll get into what balances to have that are going to help you in your financial stress in a second. But all that money going in, then there's money going out, and your bank right now, their software is measuring money in, money out. And if there's not a subtle or slight accumulation, I don't care if it goes up $100 a month. If there's not an accumulation in that balance, then that means you're barely making ends meet. You're sending that message to the bank, and they're going to remember it, right? Especially if we're trying to negotiate this, they might look at your checking account. When we looked at this strategy number 2 or strategy number 1, they might be looking at your income and watching it slowly grow to even decide whether or not they do that strategy. So you, in this instant, you want to slowly accumulate $50 a month, $100 a month, but make sure that there's more going in than coming out, because the software is measuring that. So one way to make sure that there is more in there is by auditing your books. You go back at least 3 months and see what automatic deductions are coming out, see what luxury items that you can live without, and remember, as we talk about in the boot camp, 3 months, 6 months, 12 months, or 24 months. Each one of those increments of time contribute more to your fundability. So if you can live without with more cash and a few luxury items gone and removed from your expenses, that's going to increase that level of that bank balance level. So you're going to audit for luxury items, and you're going to audit for lost and forgotten items. Those are the 2 things you're going to audit for. Make sure. Sometimes there was one time, now this was on my business side, but we had used software and we transferred to another software, a platform, but we were still paying. It was like $400 a month, right? And so we hadn't audited, we do it quarterly. And so there's a couple of months in there that we forgot to get rid of that other subscription. It happens in our personal as well as our business. So you're auditing for luxury items that you can postpone your gratification, or you can get rid of even temporarily to help you increase this the balance in your checking account. And you're also auditing for forgotten or software or services or otherwise that you're not using. All right, so that's the next one. Now, our next strategy is you want to. So we were talking about what happens in your checking account, and that we need to increase the balance. So I'm going to come back over here. So we're going, for those of you who are watching, hold on, because this is amazing. I will be as descriptive as I can for those of you who are listening, right? If you're working out on a walk or a run, wherever you are, I want to be very, very, I want to be as crystal clear as we can. Now, what, in your checking account, let's call this your checking account, there's a zero, you can have a zero balance. You do not, under any circumstance, this is a huge way to improve your fundability. Okay, huge way to improve your fundability. Many of you received a check guarantee associated with that checking account. Now that check guarantee card is a credit line, and that credit line will, if it's used and has a balance on it, let's say you use it, there's $300 on that credit line. Remember, that gets broadcast to future lenders. Future lenders are going to future lenders are going to see that your check guarantee, having $300 on your Wells Fargo credit card is no big deal. $300 on a check guarantee card means you are past zero. Follow me? You're past zero. We don't want to be past zero, or below zero. That means that this borrower, you don't have any money. And that is an unfundable message. You do not want to be sending that message. Okay. So do not use, if you're going to carry a balance, carry it on a credit card that is not your check guarantee, because that check guarantee card is a huge red flag that you are below zero on your checking account. So now we go back to our strategy. I said, how do you account for that balance being raised? You're cutting out luxuries. You're cutting out, you're getting rid of lost or forgotten debits or auto drafts. But what do I mean by building a relationship with your checking account? So I'm going to put it here. There's 1, 2, 4, and 7. These are magic numbers with your bank. Now they start at this amount at 100, 200, 400, and $700. This is called a bank rating, but I always like to call it a depositor rating, because these numbers reveal how valuable you are into a bank, right? How valuable of a customer you are to your bank. Well, this is what we call average daily balance in a month. And average daily balance, your average daily balance needs to be at least $100 or $200 or $400 or $700. You do not get more more algorithm juice by being at 250. And 350 is not more important to the bank than 200. So you want to pick these thresholds, and you want to slowly move that balance. Literally says it goes up. Where do we go? There. It goes up, and your balance goes up and up and up. The higher you are, the more valuable you are to the lender. But it doesn't stop at 700. It also means then it pops to 1,000, 2,000, 4,000, 7,000. That's the next level of value you are to your bank. So whatever, by hook or by crook, whatever we can do to get your average daily balance to the 1,000, 2,000, 4,000, or 7,000 as the average daily balance in your checking account, the sweeter you're going to be to your bank. Now, it goes higher still. We'll go there for some of you. It could be 10,000, 20,000, 40,000, or 70,000. Doesn't matter. The 2 zeros is the minimum. So 100 is the floor. 100, 200, 400, 700, 1,000, 2,000, 4,000, and 7,000, or 10,000, 20, 40, or $70,000. Now, the higher it is, the more valuable you are to your lenders, guys. Now, again, I will reinforce here at these higher amounts, $39,000 is not more valuable than just having 20 there. Does that make sense? So you just want to hit the hundreds, the thousands, or the 10,000 thresholds for you to be able to establish a more and more valuable relationship with that bank. Now, I share that with you, but because we're talking about stress, so we may be talking even $100 or $200, but I want you to hit those targets. I want you have a minimum daily balance of at least $100 in there. And that becomes the new zero. What if we call that your new zero? What if $100 is the new zero? Now, not only are we not using the check guarantee card and sending bad messages there, but we're also keeping a minimum, an average daily balance of 100. Now, if I can get you to go to 200, bravo. If I can get you to go to 400, even better still, or into the thousands or tens of thousands. Those will help you build those relationships with the bank, and we need every ounce of juice. You're already depositing checks. If we're reemployed or otherwise, you're already depositing checks, even if they are pension checks you're getting because you're on a fixed income, or if those are unemployment checks. Doesn't matter what's being deposited into your account. We want to keep these minimum balance, average daily balances, to add one more set of powerful powerful messages you're sending your lenders to protect your fundability. All right. So there you got it. Amazing strategies that are going to help your checking accounts, going to help your credit cards, help lower balances without losing your limits. If you were able to implement all of these strategies, your value to a lender is going to skyrocket, even during stressful times. So it is my hope, guys, that the principles are still true, even if you're not in financial stress. So use it. But if you are in financial stress, my heart goes to you. I pray and wish for your good fortune and good benefit to improve. I want you to take care of yourself and your loved ones in every way you can. And if I can provide these simple strategies to help you do that, then I will have done my best by you. This is Merrill Chandler, your host of the Get Fundable podcast.
Thank you for listening to the Get Fundable podcast. Please leave comments because Merrill would love to read about your aha moments from this episode. And be sure to visit getfundable.com to read our blog, get important links, join our community, and much, much more, like ordering Merrill's tell-all book that is changing the world, The New F Word. And you got to tell your friends about this podcast because we want them to get fundable too.